All right, you guys, you smell that? The full spoilers have dropped, and we're finally gonna see what the hell Oda was cooking up. So, I'm assuming you guys have already read it for yourselves. If not, I will just drop it down below in the pinned comment. But this chapter is pretty damn good. You know, coming off the brief spoilers, it seemed alright. But of course, they're just brief spoilers. Now that we have the full picture of the chapter, things are looking kind of spicy, right? So, first thing I want to talk about, I do want to tackle this in chronological order if possible. But, for the first time ever, in the full summary segment, I want to talk about Yamato's cover page, because it's actually getting interesting. So, Yamato was chasing the sword thief, and now she ended up in Udon Prison. And it turns out that Udon Prison is getting its castle rebuilt. But that's all the spoilers say, right? We don't know who's rebuilding it. We don't know why they're rebuilding it. And also, the last people we saw who were at Udon Castle, or in Udon in general, were the former Beast Pirates. So what's going on? Like, is this King, Queen, the remnants of the Beast Pirates, or is this someone else entirely? Or is this Momonosuke and the Scabbards wanting to rebuild the castle from the ground up? We don't know. But I think it's a really interesting choice of a headquarters for whoever stole the sword. But yeah, I would love to pass the question on to you guys now. Who do you think stole the sword? Are you convinced that it's the Beast Pirates? Because that is what I've seen around the community in the past couple of hours. Or are you on a different boat and that Oda is kind of tricking us, right? He wants to bring us back to Udon, but it's going to be someone else entirely. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that. So now, on to the beginning parts of the chapter, but we see Robin, Frankie, Brooke, and Jinbei's group finally make it to Elbaph. But they don't simply just stop the ship off the coast. No. They say, well, Dory and Brogy say that they want to go to the Sun World, which is that middle layer of the Yggdrasil atom tree where all the villages are. And it's like, okay, how do we get there, right? Because when we had that outside shot of Elbaph, there wasn't a bridge, there wasn't a staircase. How are we gonna get up there? Well, it turns out that they have the coveted Sunstone, the Sunstone that Hardin's group mentioned last chapter. And a lot of people are trying to guess what this would do. I was of the mindset that this would give us some additional powers, right? The Sea Stone sucks your powers away. The Sunstone maybe gives you powers. Turns out that it goes even beyond that. The Sunstone that they have is able to create a rainbow bridge. I'm sure they could make any type of bridge, but they drew up a rainbow one. The Sunstones have the ability to turn whatever they paint into reality. It's essentially Kanjuro's devil fruit, but better, you know, because you're not weighed down by the negativities of eating a devil fruit. So yeah, I think this is very fitting because when you think of Sun God, or Sun in general, you think of Luffy's powers, and Luffy is able to whip out goggles out of his hair. You know, Luffy is able to whip out a baseball bat out of a tree. So having the Sunstone being synonymous with that power and being able to turn imagination into reality is very, very fitting. And now it's like, dude, we need some of these for the ship, man. Like, I feel like Usopp with a Sunstone would go absolutely crazy because out of all the Straw Hats, Usopp is the painter. He is the artist. So, dude, if we give Usopp the Sunstone, I think he would be absolutely cracked. You know, forget Mjolnir, forget a devil fruit, give him a Sunstone, man. But yeah, the Sunstones are pretty crazy, and now we can kind of imagine what Hardin and Stanson wanted to use the Sunstone for back when they killed that moose. They probably would have built a wagon and just simply, you know, wheeled that moose back. This Sunstone is all encapsulating in a way. And yeah, I thought this was a great addition, and I do want to see what role this plays later on, and if the Straw Hats can actually get one of these for the ship. So now, after that segment, we cut over to Luffy's group, because Luffy rejoins Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, and Chopper. Luffy jumps up from the underworld, and he sees Goldberg and Garrett and all of them, and Luffy tries to be coy about what he's been doing in the underworld. And why is that? Well, he made a deal with Loki. Actually, he didn't just make a deal with Loki, he made a promise to Loki. What? Yeah, dude, you know, coming off of last week's chapter, nobody really knew what Luffy was going to do, right? Would he take up Loki's deal to learn about Shanks, or would he tell Loki to go stuff himself? Turns out that Luffy did indeed make some promise with him. We don't really know the details yet, but if it is going based off of last chapter, he's gonna get the key for Loki. And it is crazy that this is the case, right? Luffy is lying to the Giants about what he's been doing down there because he wants to cover for Loki. right? Loki said, hey, Luffy, don't tell them that you met me and do not tell them about our promise. Luffy, he actually goes out of his way to lie. I mean, granted, Luffy's a really bad liar, so I wonder if the other Straw Hats will notice this or pick up on this, right? Because Luffy, you know, imagine Luffy lying in this series. He has that face, he's looking off to the side, he's sweating a little bit. I mean, hell, Goldberg and Garrett kind of pick up that Luffy's acting weird, right? Goldberg's like, oh no, did I upset him? Did I bring back bad memories? And Goldberg drops the questioning. So it's like, dude, Luffy and Loki, this might actually be like the main conflict of Elbaph, right? Elbaph might have been a peaceful island until this. Absolutely insane to think about. And I do wonder what it's gonna be like, right? Luffy stealing keys? We've never seen that before, right? Even back in Impelled Down, we needed Buggy, Mr. 3, and Bon Clay for that. I mean, at Marineford, we needed Mr. 3 for that. So seeing Luffy go on this, you know, incognito stealth mission to steal keys for Loki, I think will be really funny. Like right now, I'm kind of just imagining everybody partying and celebrating and, you know, taking in Elbaph, and then you see Luffy sneaking off in the background. It's like, what the hell? This isn't Luffy. But yeah, that's a lot of fun, and I would love to hear what you guys are excited for. Do you think this is going to go out really well? Do you think Luffy's going to fail? Or no? Do you think once Luffy makes a promise, he will keep that dang promise? So now, after that happened, we get the road wrap-up. Well, this happens a little bit before Luffy shows up, but we do get the road wrap-up in this chapter. Road is actually trying to take down the tiny humans. The tiny humans being Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, and Chopper. I don't know why he's doing this, I'm gonna be honest. I was coping really hard for Road the past 2 weeks. I was saying, hey, maybe he's going to apologize. Maybe he's gonna lie and say it's a misunderstanding. But no, it turns out that he was ready to double down. He wanted to punish them, dude. What? Yeah, but turns out the Straw Hats are way above his skill level. And instead of fighting him head on, the Straw Hats simply cut down a tree, and the tree is what took him out. Imagine getting tree diffed. How does that even happen, dude? A tree fell in the woods and it hit ya. But yes, that is what happened to Road, and then as he tried to get up, Goldberg and Garrett put him in the dirt permanently. Well, not permanently, he's still alive, I bet, but they put him down for good, right? We're not going to be worried about this guy for quite some time. So, after that happened, we finally have made it to the Land of Giants, and the Straw Hats are reunited. We meet up with Robin's group, and all is good. But there's a massive but here. I'm not talking about giant women. No. We have Louis Arnaud. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. I might be butchering it. Who knows? I saw some people try to give me the correct pronunciations, but even then, I'm stupid, guys. Come on. So we get his dialogue, and I'm just going to read it verbatim because it's a lot. So he says, where does it start? Oh, sorry. So I'm like looking through this right now. Okay, here we go. Great size brings about sensation. No words would do this view justice. This is the kingdom of Warland, Elbaph Island. It is a kingdom of giants that is commonly referred to collectively as Elbaph. It goes down a little bit more. From the grasses or trees, vines to flowers, and even the insects, fishes, or birds, including all animals, one can only gasp at the sheer size of everything. Fellow explorers, the time you spent here will not be fruitless. However, if I am to record one thing about this mysterious land of Elbaph, the place where everything is huge, I wish for you to remember my words somewhere in the back of your mind. Do not prolong your stay in this island for too long. Louis Arnaud, the explorer. What did Louis, what did he mean by this, right? He said, forget everything. If you had to just have one thing stick in your mind, if I could only write down one thing, it's to not be here for too long. And I'll admit, I've come up with a couple of ideas, and I've seen you guys have as well. And my God, there's a lot of good ones. I mean, dude, there's so many great routes we could go with this. I've seen some people say that maybe time works differently here. Maybe time outside of Elbaph goes up rapidly, right? Maybe we leave Elbaph and boom, time skip. Or maybe it's vice versa, where this is like a hyperbolic time chamber where time is frozen and the outside world is not moving, but we are. You know, I've even seen people say that you stay here for long enough, you get bigger, you become a giant. And I think that's really interesting because if you go up to, where is it? His second paragraph, I call it paragraph. His second panel, he says, from the grasses or trees, vines to flowers, and the insects, fishes, or birds, including all animals, everything is big. But you may notice, he doesn't say anything about the people. He doesn't say giant warriors. Not once did he mention that. Why? What's up with that, right? Because you would think that when you come to Elbaph, yeah, everything's huge, but the giant warriors wearing Viking armor. Why didn't Louis write that down? I think it's because maybe that is correct. Maybe that is the correct theory, that if you stay here for too long, you become a giant. And when Louis was there, so I'm going back and forth with his name, but when he was here, maybe giants just weren't around back then. And if you stay here long enough, you get bigger. And maybe that could explain why some characters in One Piece are just bigger than normal despite being humans. Like Gecko Moria, which Gecko Moria is a weird one because he just doesn't even look human at all. And, you know, we have Whitebeard, who people think he's a buccaneer, but it's never listed. Kaido's an Oni, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But there's other characters in One Piece that are just big, right? For no apparent reason. Maybe they spent too long at Elbaph and they started to gigantify a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things here. And somebody even pointed out in the last video that Shanks, when we saw him in Elbaph, he mentioned that they overstayed their welcome. They were here for too long, longer than they expected. And it's like, dude, even Shanks seemed cautious about this warning. So there's something going on here. I love that Oda is bringing this back into the story. He's making Louis an actual, like, big character, right? Because the last book we had was Nolan the Liar. And that was huge. That was massive for the lore. So I can only imagine that Bragman will be the exact same way. So now, the last thing we want to talk about here is the last panel where we see that goddamn silhouette again. The silhouette we saw off the coast of Elbaph that had that crazy hat and said, come on then. He's now walking through the forest. We're not too sure what he's really doing. I honestly thought he would be off the coast of Elbaph still waiting for the Straw Hats, but he's moving locations, and I kind of wonder why, right? Did he see the Great Eric ship go up to the Sun World, or did he just get bored of waiting? I think it might be the former. I think he did see that Luffy is up there. I think he saw the ship go up there with the rainbow, and he said, oh, I gotta make my move. You know, they're not coming to the coast. I gotta go up to them. And I am curious to see who this is. Personally, based on the description, right, we got the Wano Kuni hat, the Asian rice hat. We have the spiky hair. Apparently, it looks very similar to the person drinking with Crocus, which is something we've already talked about on ends, right? I do think that it is either Shiki or Scopper. I know, the most basic answers out there, people are picking sides with that, but those are realistically the only people that really fit this description. Both had long hair, both were kind of spiky, and both of those characters would have connections with Crocus, right? Scopper Gabbin, he was of the same crew. So yeah, he would be a guy who would have a drink with Crocus. And then as for Shiki, you could make the argument that even though they were on opposing teams, they're of the same generation. And maybe at this point, they're just old men that want to have fun and reminisce, right? We've seen this before. We've seen Whitebeard and Roger get along. We've seen Shanks and Whitebeard kind of get along, as I say kind of, right? So like, I think there could be some camaraderie there in just their age. So yeah, I think this is pretty big. One other hint that could have been leaning towards Shiki here could be the fact that a giant grizzly bear is looking at him in the background. It seems like a minor thing, right? But we do have to remember that in Strong World, Shiki's main shtick is that he has a bunch of giant animals at his beck and call. And a grizzly bear was one of them. So that could be a hint that it is him. Or this could just be Oda flexing this guy's aura, right? This guy is so strong that the giant animals of Elbaph don't even want to mess with him. I could see this going a lot of different ways. But yeah, I thought this was a great chapter overall. Like I said, brief spoilers seemed only all right. But the full spoilers, man, pushes it over the edge every single time. But yes, with that being said though, guys, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this chapter. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know all your thoughts, comments, and theories down below, and we will be reading through some of them in the next video and just having a good old discussion as per usual. My name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace, brother.